Hey guys, new video for Path of Exile. Alright, so it's been a while again, but been playing around with some different builds, and this time around I wanted to revisit a build I played back in like 3.20, I think, a long time ago, and it's the Poison Spark Occultist. So back when I played it a long time ago, it was like one of the best builds out there. Back then there wasn't like T17s or Uber bosses or Valdo's maps and that kind of stuff, so the level of power you needed to actually do all of the end game content was a lot lower. And I thought, why don't we try it again in 3.25. So Poison Spark has sort of fallen off quite a bit, I guess, because of the changes to the anomalous or divergent spark. I think, forgot which one it was, but there was a old gem before they reworked the gems. There was a gem that converted all of Spark's lightning damage to chaos, or a bit of it, and then you could get additional conversion with quality. So you do that with like Ashes of the Stars and that kind of stuff, and fully convert Spark's damage to poison. To chaos, which would allow it to poison, because lightning damage can't really poison. There are some other items that allow you to poison, like there's some gloves, or now there is like this grasping vine tech you can do. But the route I decided to go with was with Original Sin. So using Original Sin converts all of our elemental damage to chaos, and then that allows us to poison. So all we have to do is get chance to poison, and we can start poisoning with our spark. Okay, so first of all, the build ended up being very expensive to build, and overall I didn't really like the outcome that much. You can see in some of the showcases we'll do, but overall it's like it is a build with a cap on the damage, like, because there is a maximum amount of damage you can do with like poison and or dots and that kind of stuff, right? It's like 35 million. So basically you're stuck at 35 million DPS, right? And the build I was playing before was a multi-mirror armor stacker build, which was doing like over 1 billion DPS. So you can imagine going from doing billions of DPS to 35k is quite a big change, right? That being said, though, it does clear pretty much like all content. It's not really as tanky as I would want it to be. Like my armor stacker build also was quite tanky, and going to this, it definitely did feel a bit squishier. And I'm not really sure if the amount of investment I've put into this character is actually worth it at the end of the day, because it can't really like tank everything in the game. There's like some annoying things, and the damage is okay, but it's not like anything to write home about. But anyways, let's stop talking about the build. Let's go do some showcases, and then we'll kind of go into how I built it in case well, anyone did want to try this out. Okay. Alright, so we are very fast actually, because we actually get faster than this because we are using 2 ghosted wands. So we're at like 300 over 300% movement speed in maps and that kind of stuff. So that is actually real nice. But let's start off with a let's just see, let's do some bossing. So we'll do a blazing boss, the Exarch, and then we have a Uber Elder. So let's go and jump into this, and there's a lot of things that can kill me in this fight. Like I can tank some of the little ball things, but the like fire mortars he does, those can actually like kill me as well, so it's kind of annoying. But we'll see what happens. We might die a couple of times in the showcase, and I'd probably just leave it in because I want you guys to see what it's actually like, right? So there's 2 different Spark versions that I've been playing around with. There is the Spark of the Nova. This one is more meta, you could say, right? It shoots a lot of projectiles, and the projectiles are shooting in a circle, so very nice for clear. And you could see my spark is level 32, so we have 16 projectiles, right? So there is I don't know, this one I didn't really like it that much for a single target, because it seems like the sparks are just going everywhere. But there's another one, the Spark of Unpredictability. This one is it actually costs less mana, so that's kind of nice, and it shoots less projectiles. So if we put this one in, see, we are at about 10 projectiles. And the projectiles move at random speeds, so some will move faster, some will move slower, but we do have quite a decent amount of barrage speed. And I found that this one was a little bit better at single target because maybe I could aim a bit more, but we'll see what happens. We'll try this boss with the Spark of Unpredictability, and then when we go do the other bosses, we'll swap to this one so you can see both of them. Alright, so for defensive buffs, we do have a Sigil of Power and Frost Shield kind of set up over here. And we are using Balanced Terror for the Wither. So, let's see, you can see that there is like this ramp to the damage, and it's not really like all that super great. Alright, and this thing might actually kill me, maybe. I think we do have to run a bit, yeah. So he's probably going to do his ball phase. Oh wait, can't stand in that. We are doing a decent amount of damage. I mean, this is like dot cap damage. We're not actually dot capped versus Ubers, so that is one thing to note. I think for Ubers, I'm like at 20 mil DPS. But yeah, the balls are kind of okay, right? You can sort of tank them with Frost Shield and then Molten Shell and that kind of stuff. But yeah, let's go and kill them off. Okay, that was kind of close. Oh, you can do another ball phase. Alright. Alright, and you can actually get a lot more damage than I have right now. Because we'll go over that, I guess when we go over the like build setup and that kind of stuff. But I'm kind of spec'd for like proj speed right now. You know, I think it kind of feels a little bit better. But you could go a lot tankier, you could say. I should move out of that. There is ways to make it a bit tankier, right? Alright, I think he's dead now. There we go. Ooh, that staff. Why is that hidden on the filter? Okay, so that is like this guy. So not really that bad, right? I mean, it is kind of annoying that you have to dodge that like mortar attack, but I guess maybe I'm too used to playing builds that can just like face tank everything in the game, right? So maybe there is something there. I think I already did witness this. Let's just put her on. Okay, so for this fight, we'll go with the Spark of the Nova, because it is kind of like circle arena anyways. And this fight is actually pretty nice, I'd say. Out of all the Ubers I did, the Uber Elder was like one of the smoothest, because pretty much all you have to do is dodge the Shaper balls, because you can take like 1 or 2, maybe 3 of them before you die. But yeah, you can see there the huge amount of damage from that. But nothing else in the fight does really kill you. Like the beam is okay. And spark coverage is pretty good, I'd say. I mean, it could be a little bit better. Oops. Well, at least we don't have to put auras back on. So, alright. Put up our Frost Shield, and see, like, the nice thing about this Uber fight is... Oops. Alright, well, we're not really supposed to be dying in Showcase. I just, I did one fight, like, as a test run to see what it was like, and I did it, like, deathless, but then now that I'm recording, obviously we're gonna die, but... I guess, yeah, it is kind of good to see that kind of stuff, right? Because, that's kind of like the reason why I'm not really liking the build, is because I expect, like, if I'm paying, like, multiple mirrors for a build like this, then it should, you know, shouldn't really, like, fall over to a couple of Shaper balls, right? I think there are builds that already exist that you can build that are probably cheaper than this and can probably do, you know, most of this content a lot easier, and you probably can tank like Shaper balls and that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm saying, is like, it is kind of nice, like playing Poison Spark, you get like the, you know, the Occultist explosions and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, like stuff like this is like kind of annoying. but I think we will kill them off pretty soon. The Elder is dead, and we just need to kill Shaper. I think we did kill them. Alright, so that was a fight. You can see not really all that like smooth, but you know, coverage is okay. I think damage, okay, it's not that bad, but you know, why is this even hidden? Okay, I gotta change my filter. Alright, so that is the Elder. Let's do a T17 map. And now T70 maps are okay. I've been doing a Scarab farm with like rogues and the Titanic Scarab, and it's been handling that fine, except like some of the bosses are a little bit tough, you could say. Let's put one of these deli orbs on here, and let's jump into the map. Alright, so this is like a currency farm strat from Mr. Snoo. It looked kind of fun, tons of pack size, and since this build is like having tons of explosions, I thought that, you know, maybe that'd be fun to do on this. And you can see it is pretty decent clear in these kind of maps. Chaos Orb. Some of these monsters are wisps, so they might be a little bit tanky, but like, you know, overall I'd say like clear is pretty nice. Like, especially once, now that I have like a decent amount of proj speed. I think I'm at like, yeah, 155% proj speed. Could be a little bit more. I've gotten up to like 200%, or like 250%, if I did some like different setups, but have to sacrifice like defense and that kind of stuff for that. So right now I'm just running this, but yeah, it's not bad, right? I mean, the bosses do have a lot of abilities that can kill me, so I guess we'll see when we get there. This map will not drop me anything. But yeah, the move speed with the like double ghosted wands is actually really fun. Wait, we're not supposed to be picking up shrines. I'll get rid of them a little bit. We have a covetous shrine. No, okay. But here we are at the boss. Let's put a portal. Probably will die. Get rid of some of these things here. Alright, and let's hopefully not die. You see, the damage isn't really that good, I think. I mean, it's not that bad, right? But these guys are wisp. Okay, well, it's actually, these bosses probably don't have that many damage mods, so it actually does seem a little bit tanky, but, you know, trust me, there are a lot of things that can, like, kill this character. Okay, let's try to use Ball Haste, maybe. Oh, well, they were dead. Alright, so, yeah, you can see damage is actually not that bad, right, for, like, a wisp boss. Let's just go kind of play around the map a little bit. We get, like, Vine Altar. I guess not. But yeah, this is sort of what it's like, pretty much, except that every now and then you just kind of get one shot. If there are like pretty nasty damage mods, you know, that can happen every now and then. Alright, I think that's enough for this map, so let's go and talk about the build, how I built it, and why I don't really like the build at the end. Okay, so overall, as you could see in like the showcases, you know, it's actually not that bad damage and clear. I mean, it's dot cap pretty much, right? So it's something you kind of have to deal with. Defense is okay, right? You can see in the Uber Elder fight, we did die quite a few times actually, just because, you know, there are some abilities, especially like the ones with penetration, are just gonna, you know, deal tons of damage to you. The way this character is set up is pretty much our only defense is going to be high energy shield and then some damage reduction from like flesh and stone, and then our frost shield, molten shell, and then Sigil of Power. I did try a setup with endurance charges, and that was okay as well, but at the end of the day I just decided to drop endurance charges for more projectile speed. So start off, I am using a lot of my armor stacker gear as like leftovers. So you can see like the helmet I'm using is my gem level helmet. And the build is sort of built up like a aura stacker, sort of like we are running quite a few auras, and then we do have about 100% increased aura effect, or a little bit more. So, you know, we do have some decent aura effect, but not like anything really crazy. I originally did plan this out to be actually an aura stacker, but then realized that there isn't that much benefit to doing it on a poison build, because like the only damaging aura we have is Malevolence, and maybe Haste a bit, and that didn't really justify, you know, going all out on aura effect. So at the end of the day, decided to just not do aura effect that much, but get enough to get, you know, like 90 max res and that kind of stuff. Okay, so some of the items, like we mentioned, are from the armor stacker like this one, but I mean, I would probably even want to use a helmet like this for this build, because this does end up giving quite a lot of levels to our gems, like our discipline, our determination, malevolence, and that kind of stuff, giving us nice damage and a lot of energy shield. So definitely do like these gem level helmets for these, like especially like CI builds where you can boost up your discipline levels to get a lot of energy shield. Same thing with my amulet. I'm using the focused amulet. It's a +8 amulet, so you can see that's why my spark is actually level 32. Now at level 32 you get 1 extra projectile, so I think it is quite nice, and then also getting 4 levels on every single gem is pretty nice as well. So I think you probably do want to get a proj speed amulet though, if you're going to do it. Make one of your own, like maybe a +2/+2, and then craft it proj speed and just skip the mirroring part. Not really sure, but anyways, these focused amulets are probably going to be the way to go in terms of like damage, I think. The body armor is a regalia with global defenses, then just a lot of energy shield, mana reservation. I crafted this specifically for this build, just to be able to fit all of my auras in, get a lot of energy shield. That's pretty much it, right? Okay, so for the wands, I made some, you know, typical poison spark gear. Usually you would do this on a scepter in previous leagues, but now that we have the tormented spirits, I decided to use wands. We have 2 of these wands. One of them turned out pretty good, the other one turned out okay, but they are, you know, definitely usable. The way you craft these is basically just Essence of Torment till you get increased lightning damage. This is only tier 2, because tier 1 is extremely rare. I've only seen tier 1 out of, like, I used 5,000 essences to craft both of these, and in all that time I saw tier 1 once. Right, so you get your increased lightning damage, and then your lightning damage to spells, then you do cannot roll attack modifiers, and then you just slam on the lightning. Or you do harvest, remove add lightning, and hopefully you don't remove, you know, the increased lightning damage or the lightning damage of spells, and you just slam on a +1 lightning. And then you just do a prefix can't be changed, Veil Orb for either Chaos.multi, or in this case there's cast speed with Arcane Surge, which is, you know, it's okay. It's not really needed because I do have Arcane Surge on hit for my Timeless Jewel. But, you know, it doesn't really matter. Like crafted dot multi is like 20%, and then the unveil is 28. So I guess you are missing out on 8 dot multi, but I think either combo works, right? And then just craft on the last mod. So that's the wands. Pretty simple craft, very deterministic, but can take quite a while to make them. Okay, so for the ring, Original Sin, like I mentioned, we do need this ring to actually be able to poison with Spark. And this kind of does make curses irrelevant, because like usually you would use Despair to get a lot of damage on Occultist, but because of Original Sin, Despair doesn't really do anything, so the only really curse that matters is going to be Temp Chains, and we have Temp Chains on hit from our gloves. Speaking of gloves, reason I wanted to use these is first of all for the Temp Chains on hit and the Explode, right? So I don't really know, like you can get like Temp Chains on hit somewhere else, like you could do Profane Proxy and that kind of stuff, but I wanted to get the Explodes, right? So we have the Profane Bloom, and you have to be cursing on, you know, it has to be cursed enemies. So this is probably like the most consistent way to do it. You do also get Explode, which is quite nice. So definitely do like these gloves. I would actually like to use a rare pair of gloves, 'cause that's going to give like another 1000 plus energy shield. But these gloves, very nice for like clear and that kind of stuff as well. Okay, so the ring. Right now I'm just using a synth ring with like discipline, aura effect, intelligence, just to get a lot of energy shield basically, and to get reduced mana cost of skills, because now, you know, these spells are costing tons of mana. Like mine's 30 mana right now, because I have like this ring on, then I have like a pretty nice Watcher's Eye and that kind of stuff. But yeah, you are going to be using tons of mana, so I decided to use this ring. Alternatively, you could use a Circle of Nostalgia for Herald of Agony, right? If you're using Herald of Agony, you can use this, and I'm actually not even using Herald of Agony in this setup. Normally, you would use this for like the more poison damage and then the chance to poison, but basically already at dot cap, so I decided not to even use that, and instead I'm using Flesh and Stone to have a little bit more defense. And the way I'm getting my poison now is just like tattoos pretty much, right? Because there is like a 5% chance to poison like tattoos. So I've got all these like tattoos here. It's kind of sad losing all of this stuff, because this could be like energy shield and I'd be at like, you know, 11.5k ES. But you know, having these tattoos here allows me to actually run these projectile medium clusters instead of having to use you know, these like chaos ones with like septic spells, which you would normally use because it has like 20% chance to poison. But I decided to use the medium clusters because these are giving proj speed, right? And if you don't have proj speed on Spark, it does kind of like feel really bad, because you know, the clear is not really all that good. And so definitely getting to like, you know, 100 plus proj speed is going to make the build feel a lot better. Okay, so that is the ring, and then for the boots, these are my armor stacker boots, pretty much, right? So I just didn't really bother changing them, but the thing is, you can craft this a little bit differently. Like I would probably do +1 int gems instead of the strength gems, so you could boost up your enlighten to like 1 extra level. And then instead of the regenerate life per second per endurance charge, you could do there's like a chaos multi, or there's like a poison deal damage faster. So probably run that on the boot instead of this setup. Although this, you know, when I was using endurance charges, this mod does give a decent amount of ES regen. Okay, so that is sort of the gear. We are using the Mage Blood, of course, right? And then for the flask setup, we're pretty much just using you know, some armor flask, the movement speed, you know, the onslaught flask, and then a ruby flask, so that we can get all the way up to 90 max res. So this ruby flask, you know, in combination with our what do you call it, purity of fire, we can find it here. Our purity of fire is going to allow us to get to 90 max res. All right, now alternatively, you could actually use the basalt flask. You can see our movement speed right now in hideout is 219. Now, once we get the ghosted buff, it's going to be quite a lot higher, but you could replace your Quicksilver with a basalt flask, and you know, you lose a bit of movement speed, but you're going to gain like, you know, quite a lot of armor, 52k armor here instead of 37k, right? So, and you know, you will be decently fast. If we go back in over here, you can kind of see once we get the ghosted buff, we can go check out, see how fast we are. So 141 and 200%. So we'll be at like 200% movement speed, and this is like, you know, pretty decently fast, right? You know, definitely playable if you want to get a little bit more armor and get a little bit tankier, right? But for me, you know, I like being fast, moving fast. So using the Quicksilver, and you can see the difference is, you know, it's a little bit faster, right? 289, like 290 movement speed. If we use our Ball Haste, do we even have Ball Haste? Oh, we don't. Okay, let's put this up here. We use Ball Haste, 300-ish movement speed, 330% movement speed, so pretty zoomy. Alright, so for the last flask, for bossing, I like Bottled Faith. It gives you a little bit of damage, and also like ES regen. And when you're mapping, you can just use a Auras End for another Explode. So we'll have like 3 sources of Explode. We'll have the Flask, the Gloves, and then the Profane Bloom. So that's quite nice. Alright, so let's go over the passive tree real quick. So the way this is built is pretty much we are just going for like voices to get a lot of medium clusters. All of our medium clusters are this aerodynamics and streamlined, which are going to give you Pierce, first of all, because you do need Pierce for Spark. It gives you Pierce and Proj Speed, and then we have Streamlined for even more Proj Speed, right? So each one of these is 30% Proj Speed and 1 Pierce. So we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 Pierce, and then we have, you know, quite a lot of Proj Speed. After that, we do need a lot of reservation to get all of our auras in. So we're using 4 small clusters with, you know, 35% increased effect and some attributes, energy shield, and these actually do end up giving quite a lot of energy shield. So using all these to fit all the auras in, and then after that, we're doing sort of like a timeless jewel thing here with the Militant Faith, with the aura effect one, and then the reduced mana cost of skills. So we get some reduced mana cost of skills, and then we also do grab a lot of the nodes over here with the Unnatural Instinct. Alright, so one nice thing about playing a aura stacker version of the build is that, well, we do have, we don't really have to worry about our duration. Alright, so if we go take a look in PLB, you can see that our Spark of the Nova skill duration is 3.7 seconds. So Spark can hit every 0.6 seconds. So let's say we have 3.7, and then we just do this. So we can hit like 6 times. And if we use the Spark, the other one, the Spark of Unpredictability, that has like a 2.5 second base duration, so then our skill duration is going to be like 4.7. So we can hit a few more times. But you probably won't be hitting this many times, but you can see we don't really have to worry about scaling our skill duration because Malevolence is actually giving skill effect duration, right? And our aura effect does kind of boost that up quite a bit, right? So that's like one benefit to building a lot of auras. And then obviously the aura effect on Discipline, Determination, Haste, Purity of Elements, and all the other kind of stuff like Vitality, Clarity, and that kind of stuff are making the build feel like quite a bit better, I think. Right, so that's why I'm not even bothering to actually go grab this area here, although you could, but I think right now I do have enough skill effect duration, and probably getting more proj speed would be better than getting more duration at this point, because they're not moving, the spark projectiles aren't moving fast enough to actually, you know, hit the full amount. I think right now, I think we do need a little bit more proj speed for that to happen. The rest of the skill tree is sort of, you know, not really much to talk about, except like say tattoos. For tattoos, we do need a lot of these chance of poison on hit. Now, instead of getting proj speed over here, what you could do is you could run these septic spells and vile reinvigoration. So this is quite nice because it gives you cast speed, it gives you dot multi, and then also has chance to poison on hit. So you could run a bunch of these, right, and get your chance to poison here, and then instead of these tattoos, you run energy shield tattoos and get a lot more energy shield. And the vile reinvigoration thing is quite nice because you get increased damage over time, you get max energy shield, and then you also get energy shield regen. And this can stack up to like 5k ES regen when you're mapping if you've killed a lot of things. But yeah, I guess the downside to that is your proj speed is going to be like pretty bad. Alright, so let's go over some of the skill setups over here. So let's go over the main link. So Spark of the Nova or Spark of Unpredictability, whichever one. And then we do need Spell Echo, right, for the cast speed. And then basically just Unbound Ailments, Void Manip, Elemental Focus, and then Inspiration. Kind of not really much to choose here. Alright, so for the auras, we're running a Malevolence, Determination, Discipline setup over here, and then our second aura setup is Flesh and Stone, Haste, Purity of Elements. And like I said, you could replace the Flesh and Stone for Herald of Agony if you want a little bit more damage, but I think since we are at dot cap anyways, it doesn't really matter that much. It might be, maybe it does help with Uber boss DPS because we're not really dot cap versus Ubers. But you could put this in. This also does give you chance to poison, and then like I mentioned, you could run one of these rings here to get quite a lot more damage. Alright, so we have another aura set up here, the Purifier, Vitality, Clarity, just level 10 right now, because that's all the mana regen I need at the moment. Alright, and then for our utility, we do have Sigil of Power and Molten Shell linked to an Enhance. The quality for Sigil of Power is giving enemies in the area deal less damage, while at max stages. So that's why my Sigil of Power is only level 1, right? So when I use my Sigil of Power, I can actually charge it up, right? But if my Sigil of Power was like level 21, I would never be able to charge it up because it's going to cost like me, what, 1,600 mana to charge this thing up per stage, right? Now it's only, 200 mana per stage, so it is kind of doable to get it to max, rank, whatever max stages. Okay, after that we do have Despair, because we are using the Balanced Terror over here to get our Wither on hit. There are some other jewels over here we can use. Right, so there is jewels like this over here with Overwhelming Malice. So this has like 10% chance to gain Unholy Might for 4 seconds on critical strike. And Unholy Might gives you 25% chance to apply Withered on hit. So that is actually quite nice, except that it's not very consistent, right? So I was using this in the beginning, but see our crit chance in, if we go look in POB, crit chance, like, oh, it looks pretty good, right? 28%, but that's like with the Bottled Faith on, and without Bottled Faith, you can see our crit chance is, let's just say 11%. So 11% crit chance, and then every time we crit, it's like only a 10% chance to get the buff, right? So I was noticing I wasn't even getting the buff up like very consistently. So basically decided just to go for the Bounce Terror setup for guaranteed Wither, and it did make the damage feel a lot better. Okay, after that we have Frost Shield over here. Frost Shield giving us quite a lot of extra mitigation. Use it on bosses, and ideally you don't want people to be coming into the actual Frost Shield, because when they're inside the Frost Shield, they it's only like 20% damage reduction, but if they're outside the Frost Shield, it's like 60% damage reduction. So that's something to keep in mind. And then Flame Dash. Now, when I was using the Enduring Composure node over here to get like my endurance charges, I was actually using like Forbidden Right, and I wasn't even using Flame Dash, right? Because we use Forbidden Right, we hit ourselves, and that's going to proc the Enduring Composure. But overall, like, it was very annoying because the endurance charges are only lasting 10 seconds, and then weren't always up on bosses. Like in maps they're always up, so it's kind of okay, but then even in maps there's like this mod that's like less mana regen and energy shield regen per endurance charge, and if I got that, then I actually wouldn't have enough mana to cast my spells. I noticed like some maps, like I can't cast my spells because I'm out of mana. My mana regen is like, instead of 180 mana regen, it's like only 60. It's like, what's going on? And it's like some alter mod. So end of the day, decided to just completely remove all of these charges, because I want to be able to take all the alter mods without having to worry about, frenzy charges or endurance charges and all that kind of stuff. So definitely there's a lot of things you can do to kind of customize the build. That's kind of it for the kind of explanation. Now I did try coming down over here to the ranger area to get like the more prod speed and all this kind of stuff, and you can definitely work something out there. Some other things to note on the tree is we're crit immune from this node on the poison mastery. You can come over here for the Faith and Steel and get the recover 5% of energy shield for 1 second when you take fizz damage. It's quite nice for extra recovery. In POB, another thing to note is, like, you can see our ES leech on hit rate is like 11k. This is kind of like bait. I got baited by this, so don't get baited. But it's not this high. It's not this high, guys. Anyways, so you could actually remove some of these leech, like instant leech. We are getting a decent amount of leech, because you can see our if we go to, like, we look at one hit, our hit DPS is like 2 million per spark, which is enough to actually leech, I think, right? It's a decent amount of leech, and with the amount of sparks we have, it is like quite high. And then also we do have on the Watcher's Eye, we do have ES on hit. So Watcher's Eye, probably the most important mod, is the non-channeling skills have minus 10 mana cost, so affected by clarity. You're not going to have enough mana to cast your spark without this mod. Then after that, probably the ES on hit, and lastly damage over time multi. I think in that order it would be like the order of priority. Anything else to note about the tree? Oh yeah, so basically I decided to get Arcane Surge on hit because this is nice for like cast speed and then some extra mana regen, but not really needed, right, for the Timeless Jewel. You also don't really need to replace Zealot. You could replace some other node here. I think we can drop this node maybe and still have enough aura effect for all our Yeah, so you could actually replace leadership too, because it's not super important. It's like 6% increased aura effect, but you'll still be at 90 max res. So something to think about. You could replace that node on your timeless jewel. And I think that's about it for the build. Oh, let's go over the Ascendancy real quick. So for Ascendancy, basically I'm actually skipping Unholy Authority because there's no extra curse that I want to apply. So we're going for Profane Bloom, the Withering Presence, and then Vile Bastions instead of the Unholy Authority because don't need the extra curse, and this is like gives you stun immunity, so that's really nice, and also gives you some nice ES regen. Alright, so right now I am going for Commander of Darkness. Commander of Darkness, real nice because it gives you the 3% increased attack and cast speed per aura, and then since we have 200% increased, this turns into a 6%. So if we go take a look at our cast speed on our Spark, increased cast speed, we're at 389% increased cast speed, almost at 400% increased cast speed. And you can see a lot of it coming in from Commander of Darkness, 6% per aura. So that's quite nice. I did try to play with Bastion of Elements to try to get a little bit tankier, and it was okay, but still not tanky enough to tank like the big hits, so I ended up just dropping it and going for a little bit more damage, more speed, and then just relying on, you know, being fast and just like dodge things. And, you know, I mean, we can still tank a few hits, but I don't know, I think you could try to build this a little bit tankier, like maybe somehow try to fit spell suppression in it by coming down over here to this area here and getting some spell suppression definitely would work. You could drop some things here to make it work, probably. Maybe drop some of these clusters because you wouldn't need them if you go over to this area here anyways. So there's some things you could try to do, like with 100% spell suppression, the build would be quite a little bit tankier, definitely. And maybe even instead of like Commander of Darkness, you go for like the Bastion of Elements on top of spell suppression, and that would be kind of tanky too, I guess. Or you can also go for 9 lives, might be nice. Heart of Destruction also quite nice too. The more elemental damage does affect our poison damage since the base damage is lightning. And that's about it for the video. Let's go over the Pantheon real quick. We're going for Lunaris and then Relakesh. And that is gonna be it. Some people are gonna ask about the MTXs, and then the setup is quite basic, but we're going for the Legion Commander helmet, the Chaosborn tier 1, because actually wait, let's take the Mage Blood off so we can kind of see it a little bit better. The tier 2 Chaosborn actually doesn't look all that good. Alright, tier 3, I don't have tier 4, but even like tier 3 is like starting to kind of like get all this like golden color, and I didn't really want that, so I'm sticking to the tier 1. I think it does look very nice. And then after that we have the Victorious Gloves. That's why like my hands are glowing. And then we're just using the Lord Boots and Demigod Belt, Demigod Ring, and that's about it. Alright, so that's going to be it for the build video, guys. I'll have the POBs in the description. But like I said, I think dot cap builds not really all that good. You know, in this day and age with like T17s, Uber bosses, and that kind of stuff, and like Valdos, I think maybe hit base would have been a better idea. But I did want to play Poison Spark again, try it out, and it was fun, definitely, right? But definitely wasn't the same experience as it was back in 3.20. Alright, well, that'll be it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.